If you're currently feeling stuck with bass sounds, or bass grooves, then you're going to enjoy this video, because I am going to show you a tool that I have enjoyed for years and it's still proven to be very effective until today, called Rozzer Advanced Step Sequencer. For me personally, this is just an absolute inspiration machine, and without doing any further talking, I'm just going to show you how it works. Let's dive in. This is the reference groove that I have prepared here. Very organic sounding. And now I'd like to come up with some sort of bass groove. And I'm going to create a new MIDI track therefore. So if you click on the group and you hit Command Shift and T, it creates a MIDI track underneath the group. Rozzer Advanced Step Sequencer. This thing, man, ever since I've discovered it, I've been using it nonstop. You can load up a sample in it where it says drop instrument here. Let's go into all first, search up bass, and you can filter by loops here. Type loop. And if you don't see this tag panel, you can just open it up here. It's fairly new in Ableton Live 12. And then it'll search your entire library for bass sounds. Yeah, you can take anything. I'm going to look for something more short, not so sustained, yeah. This sounds good. I'm just going to put it here, where it says drop instrument here. Put it into slice mode. And what you can do now is under the randomization panel where it says all, you can randomize all. Decrease the volume of the track, hit play. And now you can see that every little blue note here corresponds to a slice on the sampler here. You can see the notes are turned off here, so if you want, you can turn them on. And of course, you can mess with the pitch over here, transposition. Maybe shorten the sound by fading it out. So that's one way of sort of starting out. Yeah, you can then create a new MIDI track by hitting Command and T. You can then select the input to be track 8. In this case, it's over here. Post mixer, record arm, and then record. So that's already one way to use loops, but to use them in a more creative way, to mangle it and to turn it more into your own sound. This is the kind of stuff that I wake up in the morning and makes me want to produce music. You know, not just use other people's stuff, but use it in a way that's a little more creative. Yeah, we got our first little phrase here. I'm going to duplicate this audio track and just delete the clips that we have here on the first track so we can continue to resample material. I'm going to mute this track with the recorded material here. And now I'm going to just right click the sample, show in browser. So we could go into the folder that contains the bass lines, you know, stay in one category or one style. Or if you wanted to, you could right click and show similar files. So it shows you files that are somewhat similar to this one. You can just drag and drop them in here and then hit play. So you have another phrase. So same thing. Make sure that this track is record armed and hit record. Cool. So that's already one little clip here. Same thing. Duplicate this audio track and delete the clips that are on the first one and mute this over here. Let's do that whole thing one more time. You could also take some different style of bass groove. For example, I have a pack that I'm currently working on, which is also very progressive. Take something that's a little more chaotic and rumbly, chuck it in here, and you know what, we could also just hit randomize a couple times and hit play. Transpose it back down, a little less fade out. A different loop maybe. Something weird like this. From this process, you get ideas that otherwise wouldn't have come up to your mind if you would just use a single synth with the MIDI. Sometimes you also get ideas for percussion and call and response phrases this way, which I really enjoy. So for this example, I would record this weird glitchy material into the new track. And then suddenly you're like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. What if I put in a top loop in here or percussion? You know, something weird like this. And you're like, oh, that sounds cool. Let me resample that too. So what I'll do is duplicate this audio track, delete the clip on the first one, and then hit record. So that's cool. And you can chuck in whatever you want. You can put in synths, you can put in top loops, you can put in some weird textural stuff, and it'll give you something with a bit of phrasing inside. The phrasing is what really makes this stand out. It's this sort of call and response type energy that we're getting from this sequencer. So we have a bit of material to work with now. That means I can delete the Rozzer sequencer, just chuck it out. So this first audio track, this is more of a percussive thing, so I'll take out all the low end. I'll double click the clip and make sure that it's looped so we can extend the clip length over here without having to duplicate the audio track. But you do need to make sure that the loop length is set correctly to, in this case, 4 bars. After 4.4, that's 4 bars. And now we can hit Shift and Tab to exit this view. So we got ourselves a nice little extra little hi-hat loop, which is very valuable. Fills out the groove a little bit, yeah? So we can put it into the tops group over here. At C groove. What is this here? This I would consider to be also call and response percussion. So we can take away the low end. Maybe introduce more of the low end here. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Let's take that. So double click again, make sure it's looped. Make sure the loop length is set to 4 bars. Perfect. Extend the clip length. Call it call response perky. So we could actually also put this into our tops group so we can process it with the rest of the drums, yeah? What is this? Okay, so this would be bass layer 1. And what do we got over here? We got 2 different bass grooves that we can now work with, and I'm going to compile them in a way that feels more unique to me. Let's go into a finer grid by hitting Command 1. Alternatively, you could just right click and select your grid size here. I find it to be a little more efficient to work with Command 1 and 2 for grid size. So Command 1 to decrease grid size, and how about we take this first section over here. Okay, this half over here, we're gonna delete. As a matter of fact, I feel like my clips aren't loud enough, so let's hit Shift click to select all of them. Now go into here and let's increase the clip gain just by like, I don't know, to 8 dB, something like that. Just make sure that they're looking loud enough. Hit Shift and Tab. You could hit Shift and Tab to switch between these 2 panels, or you can just click. I find Shift and Tab to be a bit more workflowy. So let's delete this second half actually and hone in on that first half, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 bars. What do we got? There are 2 different keys. This one's slightly lower, so we could either pitch this one up a bit to match the first one, or we could pitch this one down to match this one. So what'll we do? Shift click both of these and pitch them down maybe. Is that right? I don't know. I think I actually kind of like this way. Pitch this one up. Yeah, there we go. I feel like we're getting some annoying warping artifacts, so we could switch the warp modes, maybe turn it to beats. Or Complex Pro. Sometimes beats can give you a cleaner result, but putting into forward transient might be the smarter solution here. Or this one here. Yeah. Gonna have to experiment a little bit, yeah? Let's decrease the gain or the volume on this track a little bit, move into a finer grid size, and chop out our favorite parts. Or you could take this half over here, do something like that. Yeah, that's cool. So keep it simple, just like this. Yeah, highlight the first 2 bars and hit Command J to consolidate them. And now you have yourself a first bass groove, yeah? Now just gonna match the levels by ear so they feel like they're playing together, not as 2 individual parts. That's cool. Take them, you can highlight them both with Shift, click and Shift and click, and then go. And then you can hit this panel over here to edit them at the same time. So if you wanted to, you could also pitch them down together. Yeah, we have both of the clips selected right now. So you find the pitch that vibes with you the most. Then you can hit loop and increase the clip length over here. So you have yourself a frickin' bass groove, and you didn't really have to fight with MIDI or with synths or trying to find the right preset, yeah? So this is just a quicker, more intuitive way to come up with bass grooves. So then you can take both of these sounds, hit Command and G, group them, and then call them bass samples. And then from here, you already have something to work with. So if you wanted to, you can then create some kind of a MIDI track within the group. Command-Shift-T would be the command for that. And then you can go for some kind of a bass patch. What do we got? Do we have anything FM based here? This sounds cool. Might not be a bass sound, but it could work as some sort of an accentuation. So this would be something that's included in Ableton Live. We're going to create a MIDI clip right over here. So those will be 1, 2, 3, 4 fourth notes. Yeah, so a bar. Command-Shift-M would be the command to create a MIDI clip. Let's decrease the volume a bit. And see where we'd like to place our accentuation. Preferably where we don't have anything going on, like in between these phrases over here. And you could also hit Shift arrow down to pitch it down an entire octave. Let's maybe go for a different patch, like basic FM house bass. Who knows? I think it's D. D should be fitting. Ooh. Let's do the same. So double click. It's already looped, so we can drag it out like this. Shift tab and a bit less FM. Ooh. Experiment a bit, yeah? Wait, that's nice. And you can always place your accentuation wherever you want. So you could also place it in between, right over here. Let's see if velocity helps. Yeah, it does. So if you hit Command and drag your note up and down, that changes the velocity. Alternatively, you can just go here and ramp, yeah? Or here. Yeah, we got ourselves a little phrase here, yeah? So we've already matched all three of these bass sounds in key, and we figured out that they're in D. So what I could do now is search up D, stick with, I don't know, D major, D minor, go into all. We could open up the tags over here, sounds, go for like a pad. Nice. So this would be something that's included in Tulum. Track I created a long while ago. Some kind of a pad to fill out the spectrum. Makes it easier to transition into more of a melodic part if you have a pad. Decrease the volume and track idea. There you go. Or you could go for D minor, which would be something more melancholic. Maybe something a little more dragged out like this. Drag down the volume, mute the first one, and see how this one sounds. Yeah, this is more progressive. Progressive housey. Pick out the low end, maybe, on the pad. Yeah, you got yourself a track idea. It's that simple. You can layer as many of these bass sounds as you want. It's just that you want to be very meticulous about the placement of the individual notes. You don't want to have too many bass sounds on top of each other. When you realize that your groove, your bass groove, is starting to get washed up, then you have to reduce the amount of sounds that you have. But in this case, I have a phrasing that I could sing to, that I could repeat. It's like bada-badum, dum-dum, bada-bada, bada-badum, dum-dum. And that's what you're aiming for with these sort of bass grooves.